you're looking for an incredibly easy build to use and freeze and shatter everything in your path, this is easily the build for you. What's up guys, SurfAndTwerk here, back with another Destiny 2 video. Today's video is going to be based on a stasis build for the Warlock. It's going to be using, of course, the classic osmiomancy gloves and the new seasonal weapon, Verglas Curve. This whole build is about freezing everything, getting your grenades back, and freezing more things. I'll be going over every ability, aspect, and fragment, as well as armor mods and weapons that'll work best with this build. And then after that, I'll be telling you how it works and the gameplay loop as well. As always, the dim link will be down in the description below, and if you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave a like on the video and also hit that subscribe button. Now let's dive right in. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be using Stasis on the Warlock, so of course our super ability here is going to be Winter's Wrath. This ability is going to be pretty big when you're maybe going against champions or you're getting overwhelmed, but overall, it doesn't really matter in this build. For the abilities here, I chose to use Healing Rift first because I want to get some heals out of it. I chose to use Burst Glide for the movement ability because I think it's the best. As of right now, there's only one melee, which is Penumbral Blast. Good thing is, once you hit an enemy, they automatically freeze. And then on for the grenades. Of course, the grenades we're going to be using here are going to be the Cold Snap Grenade. It's a grenade that freezes on impact and sends another seeker to find its targets. Once the grenade finds its targets, it'll freeze that, you kill that enemy, and it'll do that back and forth. Not only that, but with the aspect of Ice Flare Bolts, it works even better. When you shatter a frozen target, it spawns seekers near that track and freeze other nearby enemies, so you're going to be able to kind of make this effect more potent. For the second aspect here, we're going to be using Bleak Watcher. That's going to be the aspect where you can basically hold your grenade down and then throw it and it'll turn into a turret. This isn't going to be the main way we're going to be using in the build. However, if you're getting overwhelmed or maybe it's harder content, throwing out one turret is not a bad idea, and then using your grenade as normal is probably what I'd recommend. For the fragments, we're going to be starting off with Whisper of Fissures, which increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Then we have Whisper of Refraction. Defeating slowed or frozen targets grant you class ability energy. Third, Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increases the duration of this benefit, and plus 10 resilience. This one is a pretty damn good one for this build. And then the last fragment is Whisper of Torment, which you gain grenade energy each time you take damage from targets. So this one's also pretty good. Of course, if you're getting shot from a million places, at least you're getting grenade energy from it, plus being able to freeze all your other targets. Stats I'm really going to recommend here, of course, I'm always going to recommend 100 resilience. I think that's pretty obvious by now. Of course, you're going to want 100% discipline as well, so you can get your grenades back faster. And then for the third one, what I'm going to recommend is going to be recovery. That way you can get your class ability back faster. Of course, the Healing Rift can be definitely helpful, especially if you're running this with some harder content. This is the part where I usually go on to the artifact mods. However, I will say there's really no artifact mods that I ended up using here. This build is going to be good for pretty much ever, and it's only actually going to get better with time because whenever there's artifact mods using stasis, then this build is going to really shine, especially in endgame content. Moving on to the armor mods here. First, of course, I'm going to be starting with the helmet. I chose to use the Harmonic Siphon, which rapid stasis weapon final blows create an orb of power. And then I have Kinetic Siphon, which rapid kinetic weapon final blows create an orb of power. Last time I heard, I believe these do stack with each other. If they don't, then you can always run something else like getting more super energy or even a special ammo finder. But the third mod we're going to be using is going to be a heavy ammo finder, which increases the drop rate of heavy ammo on kill. Moving on to the arms now, of course, this is where we use our exotic osmiomancy gloves. These gloves are obviously incredibly popular for Warlocks because of its armor perk, Vivid Cold Snap. Your Cold Snap grenades have an additional charge that recharges quicker on direct impact, and the Seeker spawned from Cold Snap grenades travels further. So all those little icicle spikes that are following the enemies, they can travel a lot farther. Plus, you're going to be able to get 2 grenades off of this, so we're going to be able to either spawn a lot of turrets or spawn a lot of those seeking icicles. Either way, there's going to be a lot of enemies frozen, and there's nothing they can do about it. For the mods here, I chose to use 2 of the grenade kickstart mods. When your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy, and then additionally, your armor charge is consumed and you gain additional grenade energy for each stack. And then I also have Bolstering Detonation, which grants a class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade, which we're going to be using grenades all the time, meaning our class ability energy is going to be just getting absolutely boosted. Onto the chest piece now. I chose to use a Concussive Dampener, which reduces incoming area effect damages, of course. And then I chose to use the emergency reinforcement mod, which when your shields become broken, you have temporary damage reduction. It consumes 3 or more stacks of armor charge, granting a longer duration to the damage reduction for each charge consumed. And then lastly, I have charged up, which increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. For the legs now, the first mod I chose to use was Recuperation, which replenishes health each time you pick up an Orb of Power. And then I chose to use Stasis Weapon Surge, which your stasis weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. But with that, I also have Stacks on Stacks, which picking up an Orb of Power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge, which is pretty important for this build for sure. And then lastly, onto the Warlock mod. I chose to use the Bomber mod, which just reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. And then I have Reaper, which after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an Orb of Power. And then finally, Time Dilation. Your decaying armor charge has a longer duration, which again is very important. Of course, this armor charge build, we're doing a lot of things that are taking away from armor charge. So getting it as much as possible and keeping it as much as possible, very important. Lastly here, I'm going to go over the weapons, of course, starting off with our first weapon. The main exotic here is going to be Verglas Curve. Its main trait here is going to be Hail Barrage. Final blows with this weapon grants stasis arrows. Your next hip fire shot will fire all of them in a single volley. So how this bow works is you get 1 kill with it, and then you hip fire, you shoot it at something, and then it either freezes or it makes a giant icicle. You're going to be able to shoot that icicle, freeze other enemies around it, and then depending on how many enemies it kills, it can spawn up to 5 icicles. I'm not sure if icicles is the right term, but you get what I'm saying. This weapon is absolutely really fun to use, especially if there's a mission or something you're doing that has a lot of ad clear, then this is absolutely perfect for that. Not only that, but the damage from it is not bad either. Realistically, weapon 2 and 3 do not really matter. I'm going to say you can kind of use whatever you want. I ended up using a Forbearance in this build just because I like the chain reaction, freezing them, switching to my grenade launcher, and then hitting the icicles with the grenade launcher and then everything exploding. It was just what I ended up using, but feel free to really use whatever you want. And then for the third and final weapon, the heavy slot, I used Commemoration just because it's always a good heavy to have, especially if you need to do some fast DPS to champs or tormentors or what have you. Overall, this build is incredibly easy. Again, the way it works is targets can be frozen from either your exotic weapon, your subclass itself, osmiomancy gloves. You're going to be able to shatter and freeze unstoppables, overloads, really anything. Gameplay loop is incredibly easy. You just throw a grenade or you make a turret, whatever you want to do. You're going to use your bow to shatter targets and make the ice flare bolts. After that, you're using your bow to create crystals and you're proccing Whisper of Shards. And then all you're doing is just picking up orbs that can either give you armor charge, health, grenade energy, or whatever else you need. And then you just repeat it over and over again. You're just throwing grenades constantly, using your bow constantly. The only reason that I would just say not use your bow is maybe some damage to a champ when it's frozen. But I mean, other than that, the bow should take care of everything, especially if you're just throwing out grenades like as often as I think you are. Incredibly easy build to work with, incredibly fun build to use, something different. I don't see a lot of stasis out there nowadays, so I would definitely give this a try. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of stuff coming on the way, and I just appreciate all the support. And maybe leave a comment, tell me what you want to see next. With that being said, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.